What's up, guys? It's boy Yoshimitsu kind of coming back at you with another video. Today we're going to be reviewing, or previewing I should say, a demo for Onimusha Way of the Sword. Now, Onimusha Way of the Sword is the fourth mainline Onimusha game set to be released this September, almost 20 years after Onimusha Dawn of Dreams. Checking out this demo, it's clear that Capcom just know how to get the fuck down. Now, when I went into this demo, it took me about 40-ish minutes. For some people, probably be more about 30. It just kind of depends on how much trouble the game gives you. It's relatively straightforward. There's not a whole lot of exploration, but it is a nice little demonic spawn taste to get us ready for the full release in just a few months. And after playing through it, after just finishing it, I can honestly say this game rips harder than a Beyblade on black market parts, okay? So first things first, let's start with the atmosphere and the designs of the characters and enemies. Miyamoto Musashi looks and sounds pretty good. Personally, I was not the biggest fan of the British voice acting on the character. I still think they did a pretty good job, and it's not necessarily that it's bad. I just feel that when you play these types of games, the Japanese voiceover or dub, whatever you want to call it, the Japanese voice acting, I think, just lends a lot more to this type of game and the setting, and it kind of just puts you in the headspace a lot more, in my opinion. So this is more of a personal taste, but the English voice acting, I think, is still relatively good. So it really just sort of depends on what you're kind of wanting. Now, when we talk about the demons and enemy designs, these things look both equal parts terrifying and gorgeous. I know that's kind of an oxymoron, but it's the truth. The demons feel and sound like hellish spawn, much like my cat when she does not get dinner precisely at the time that she must need it. I do enjoy that the weight of the enemies and how much like weight that they have. They feel sort of like these really sluggish and like sort of carnivorous enemies where you can kind of feel the weight when you block and you dodge their attacks. Like, you do not want to touch these things, but you also kind of feel like there's a power dynamic with Musashi. During this sort of playthrough, Musashi almost seems like he wants to fight these things, and he finds it sort of entertaining. Like, he actually seeks these things out and is like actively going for it. So we unfortunately don't have a lot of that motivation because, again, this was just the demo, but it does kind of alleviate a lot of the like horror anxiety to it, and it just sort of is like, oh, I'm badass, I can kill these things no problem. Now, when it comes to the atmosphere, I found it really enveloping. I felt very terrified, and anytime there was like gore or slaughter or an NPC was taken out, like, I felt genuinely like both scared and angry. Kind of like I think what Musashi feels. He feels a little angry, but he also feels very even cool. I didn't feel powerless against these demons, which I thought was really interesting. It definitely felt like it was sort of a very clear power dynamic with him and the demons. Like, he kind of just knows he's gonna fuck them up, and he's just trying to get there so he can fuck them up quicker. Now, when it comes to the colors, I really like the sort of heaviness that the colors take on in this game. I really like the deep lush reds for the gore and the violence that sparks in this game, and I also really like the oppressing black and grays, giving off this sort of hell on earth type of vibe. Once we get to the sort of temple area, you can kind of see like a lot more. Like, you can really see just how like ransacked it is and how sort of like depressing it feels just sort of being in that setting, going through all of that. Now, after all of that, let's get into the combat a little bit. It's hard for me to say that it's not a Souls-like, because it doesn't feel like a Souls-like, but there are definitely some elements that I could honestly see people saying it's a Souls-like. You have your, block and parry mechanics, you have your dodge mechanics, and it definitely does have those elements of like, okay, get the timing right, and you'll start doing really good. You can't necessarily just spam the button because you'll get punished for doing so, but it's not so Dark Souls difficulty curve where it's like you make a mistake, you're gonna pay like hell for it. Rarely did I struggle in this demo. I actually think I only died once, and that's just only because my brain decided to not realize that I was playing Onimusha, but instead thought I was playing Dark Souls. So my fingers just went to Dark Souls controls for whatever stupid reason. That was probably all the adrenaline and endorphins that were just firing off of my brain. But I can say that it's definitely doesn't feel like a Souls-like. It's definitely, as they said, it's more like an action RPG, or just more like an action game in general, kind of like Devil May Cry a little bit. But there is a little bit of strategy. It's just not the focal point. Now, at one point, I did acquire daggers that almost were like an overdrive mode that guaranteed like a big damage hit after the gauge would be filled up. It's one of those mechanics that unfortunately was not really gone into because, again, it's only like a 30-minute demo. But I was really, I'm really looking forward to seeing how that mechanic builds upon itself, because it definitely adds a little bit more depth to Musashi rather than just using his swords. And it's kind of like a trump card of sorts. Like if you're backed into a corner, you can just whip these daggers out and you can just do some big damage real quick to get back on your feet. So they give you a lot of tools to be able to figure out your way around fights and to be able to sort of, you know, make do with what you got and not feel like you're never gonna beat this. I definitely never felt at one point at time in the game that I was like, I'm never gonna get past this part and I just need to get better. I never felt like that. So now the demo ends on a pretty decent boss fight. It didn't feel like a grand boss fight. Honestly, it was a little it felt like more like a preview to the like boss fight that might come after it. But I did really enjoy the banter between Ganryu and Musashi. Inevitably, there's going to probably be a buddy cop movie of these two, and I'm here for it. You know, just make sure that it's about them, you know, arresting demons or something, because I would 100% watch it. And then there was another mechanic that I wanted to touch on. It was the way, or like halfway through the demo, you're able to see this sort of like Onimusha eyes or something like that, and it kind of gives like this sort of wispy, sort of like afterlife type of vibe. And like you can see where there's kind of like puzzles, it looks like, where you can't get through a gate, so you have to use your eyes to find out where to cut the like blockages that are near the door, so that way you can pass through the door. Like I said, they're definitely kind of like pseudo puzzles, but they're also really it definitely is more of like a, I'm gonna make you explore the level type of deal. So this is the power we're gonna give you so you can do a bunch of hidden secrets. That was a really interesting mechanic, and I kind of look forward to that, because it kind of shows that Onimusha is not really a Dark Souls like game where it's focused on like environmental storytelling and combat. It's more about like, oh, you're gonna have some puzzles here too, and you gotta kind of have to think about like where to go and all this other stuff. So also a very underrated thing is you can use the environment to fight the opponents. Like there was a point where the archers were firing arrows at me, and I picked up a board, blocked the arrows, and I just kicked the damn thing at them and I killed them. That was really cool. So I believe that, you know, Way of the Sword has an amazing setting, a great combat system, and fantastic atmosphere. My biggest takeaways from the demo is that the combat, it feels good, it feels powerful, it feels fun, most importantly. And I really do enjoy the main character and the quote-unquote gauntlet lady, which if you play the demo, you'll know what I'm talking about. They were a great duo. And I also do really enjoy the color palette that they have chosen for the game, which I think is a very underrated thing to talk about when it comes to games like this, because it really sets the atmosphere. Some things I'm excited to see on the full release, and kind of just to see the potential of, is the upgrading system, because you do collect red orbs, which I know from past like Devil May Cry games and, you know, I think other Onimusha games, you collect these orbs and you can get upgrades for them, but I just never got to that. There was nothing like that in the demo, unfortunately. So I do look forward to that upgrading system, seeing what that's all about. I'm definitely excited for the story and the lore of the setting. It was very much just dipping your toes in a puddle for this little level. It was still interesting enough to hook me, but I really want more meat on it. And something that I would like to see, and I don't know if this is gonna be a thing, but there might be potential, I would like to see him potentially Musashi wield different weapons, and just to kind of see what other combos and finishers he can come up with, because you only use the sword in the demo. So I'm curious if he'll have more options, or if you build upon the combo set with upgrades. I'm just curious to see kind of where it goes from there. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I'm sure there's more things in this demo that I could probably talk about, but I recommend everybody check out this demo. I think Onimusha is a great game series that kind of has gone under the radar for a long time. I really do enjoy that it's kind of like a cross between Resident Evil and like Sekiro a little bit, but it's more like Resident Evil and Devil May Cry. That's kind of the vibe I've always gotten from it. So yeah, I think everybody should check out Way of the Sword demo. It's on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox right now. Currently the footage you're seeing is from my PC. As you can see, it runs really great. I did run it on the quality setting, and then halfway through the video I switched it to performance, and it ran fantastic. No hiccups or anything like that. So I definitely recommend anybody who's a fan of action games to check this out. It's definitely worth your time. So that's gonna do it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this type of video. Please let me know what you guys think of Way of the Sword. Are you excited for it? Are you gonna get it when it comes out? Did you check out the demo? What did you think? All right, so that's gonna do it for me today. I hope you guys have a great night, evening, day, whatever the case may be. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff, and just at the end of the day, make sure you have a beautiful and cherishful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.